Chapter 587 Projection. Fusion. Huro Yuao was no longer as weak as he was after he fought 10 people. Even if the death god demon puppet stabbed him in the back right now, the aura of death would quickly be dispelled from his body by his twin soul cores. To guide the aura of death into his body, Huro Yuao had no choice but to control his twin soul cores to circulate soul power at a slower speed. This allowed his soul power to become gentler so that the aura of death could gradually enter and try to corrode his body. Titan observed both of them by one side. When a layer of the aura of death started to surface on Huro Yuao's skin, he said, "You can pour your soul power into a tongue and try to communicate with her soul power. While your soul power is different from hers, both of you can fuse your martial souls together. This means that your martial souls are still very compatible. At least she won't develop resistance. You must try to multitask. On the one hand, you have to try to interact with her soul power. On the other hand, you must try to push your spiritual power into her spiritual sea. Use your eye of destiny to release your spiritual power. The point of entry is at the same exact spot on Wutong's forehead." Huro Yuao didn't make a sound. His eye of destiny slowly opened. Rose gold sunray patterns spread from his forehead as gentle spiritual power surged from his eye of destiny. Even with Titan's cultivation, he was still astonished when Huro Yuao released his pure spiritual power. This kid's abilities had indeed increased greatly. He walked behind Tang Wutong and lifted her head. Huro Yuao carefully controlled his spiritual power, approaching Tang Wutong's brow with it. He was very aware of what was on her forehead, and where the golden trident pattern was. This pattern rarely appeared. It would only be activated when he touched any part of Tang Wutong's body with a seal, or if Tang Wutong intentionally activated it. It should be there since Uncle Titan asked me to trigger it. Gentle spiritual undulations gradually transmitted from Tang Wutong's brow under the stimulation of Huro Yuao's gentle spiritual power. Although these undulations weren't strong, it felt as if it was resisting any foreign invasion. Huro Yuao and Tang Wutong were already so close to each other, but he could still sense the rejection the seal had towards him. Purely in terms of spiritual power, Huro Yuao was close to the standard of an ultimate Douluo. This slight rejection couldn't affect him. He only continued to use his spiritual power to stimulate that particular spot on her forehead. Slowly, Tang Wutong lifted her head on her own. She no longer needed Titan's help. Dim golden patterns started to appear on her forehead. At the very start, there was only a streak. However, the pattern slowly grew more extensive, and her spiritual undulations also became stronger and stronger. Huro Yuao was astonished to discover that these spiritual undulations that Tang Wutong released made him want to submit to her. In terms of the strength of their spiritual powers, there was still a pretty large gap. However, this was not important. The more important thing was the mighty and dominant feeling that Tang Wutong's spiritual power projected. When it interacted with his spiritual power, it was as if it was looking down on it. Huro Yuao had such a feeling before, which had even caused a misunderstanding between him and Tang Wutong. It was when he had tried to fuse with Tang Wutong's martial soul not long after he met her. Back then, he had felt something like this from her soul power. As his cultivation increased, this feeling had slowly disappeared and eventually vanished. Right now, this feeling appeared again. The golden trident became more and more apparent under the stimulation of Huro Yuao's spiritual power. The pressure that Huro Yuao was under also grew stronger and stronger. Continue to pour out your soul and spiritual power. Don't stop. Titan's voice sounded once again. Huro Yuao could only maintain the output of his spiritual and soul power. Titan didn't teach him any secret methods. He only told Huro Yuao to maintain such a state. Huro Yuao possessed yin-yang complement soul cores. Whether it was the recovery of his soul or spiritual power, he was one of the best in the world right now. Even an ultimate Douluo might not be comparable to him in this aspect. After all, he was the first person to cultivate yin-yang complement soul cores. It was under such a condition that Huro Yuao was able to maintain his current state. The recovery of his soul and spiritual power was faster than their output. To him, it was not an issue at all. As he poured in his soul power, the aura of death in her body seemed to be completely forced out. There seemed to be much more of the aura of death seeping into Huro Yuao's body. To affect Tang Wutong's treatment, Huro Yuao didn't even dispel the aura of death. He allowed it to circulate within his body. However, his body was very sturdy right now. His passageways and organs were all exuding golden light. With his immense soul power and life energy, such external forces couldn't influence him at all. Everything that the aura of death was trying to do was in vain. The brightness of the sky gradually faded. As Huro Yuao's eye of destiny was open, he knew that a day had passed. After day came night. After night, it was daytime again. In the blink of an eye, one day and one night had passed. Huro Yuao was still in his original position. More of his soul power had entered Tang Wutong's body by now. It entangled itself with her soul power without impacting it. While Tang Wutong's soul power didn't fuse with his, it didn't reject his soul power either. On the spiritual level, Tang Wutong's golden trident shone with blinding golden light as it was stimulated by his spiritual power. As the intense golden light shone, the entire room was illuminated, and the might that the golden trident unleashed even left Huro Yuao feeling a little strenuous. At this moment, a sudden buzz came from Huro Yuao's body. After this, a refreshing feeling instantly entered his eye of destiny. His rose gold eye of destiny was covered by a layer of icy blue light. When this glow appeared, the might that came from the golden trident suddenly disappeared. It vanished. This was. Huro Yuao was delightfully surprised to discover the presence of this refreshing feeling. Wasn't it the aura of the morning dew dagger? Sigh of the frozen goddess, morning dew dagger. It was what he had inherited from the god of emotions Nine Rongbing. After being subjected to external stimulation, the dagger naturally passed its aura to him. Don't tell me that the aura of the golden trident also belongs to a god. Otherwise, why does it need to be neutralized by the aura of another god? While he could no longer sense the aura of the golden trident, Huro Yuao was still very confused. He started to pour out more spiritual power. The golden trident looked like a real entity right now. Not only was it shining brightly with golden light, but there was even a material feeling to it. Yuao, summon your spiritual soul core fully. After that, force your spiritual soul core into Wutong's spiritual sea through the spiritual connection that you've built with her. That golden trident. Huro Yuao hesitated a little. He didn't follow Titan's instructions immediately. It wasn't easy for him to shift his soul core. A soul core was a soul master's foundation. Furthermore, stability was key. Once there were problems with one soul core, an explosion could happen. Given Huro Yuao's abilities, the entire castle might be blown to pieces if his soul core exploded. This wasn't even what Huro Yuao was most worried about. This was because he believed in his control. More importantly, could Tang Wutong withstand it? Could her spiritual sea withstand his soul core? Could his soul core be shifted over through their current spiritual connection? Don't worry. I'm about to use our secret method. Just do what I say. Do you really think I'm going to lie to you? Titan seemed to have read Huro Yuao's thoughts, and immediately responded. Huro Yuao had no choice right now. He could only believe Titan. He gritted his teeth and started to control his spiritual soul core. Huro Yuao's spiritual soul core was a golden whirlpool. At the depths of this whirlpool, there was a subtle golden crystal entity. Right now, his spiritual soul core started to gently shift under his intentional control. His spiritual soul core was in his eye of destiny. Or rather, it was connected to his eye of destiny. When he touched his spiritual soul core, it was immediately projected outwards from his eye of destiny. His bright golden spiritual soul core was revolving tremendously in his eye of destiny, but it was very stable. Furthermore, it was slowly becoming clearer and clearer. The rose gold sunray patterns disappeared, to be replaced by golden radial patterns. Huro Yuao's forehead also shone with golden light that was as intense as the golden light that came from Tang Wutong's golden trident. The entire room was engulfed with immense spiritual undulations. Even the entire castle was covered by a layer of golden light from Huro Yuao's spiritual soul core. There was a sea of clouds outside the castle. The clouds that were closest to the castle were illuminated brightly. As golden light spread, the mountain peak that the clear sky castle was on seemed to become an immortal paradise. Titan was already seated cross-legged behind Tang Wutong by now. He was sensing the immense spiritual aura that Huro Yuao's spiritual soul core released. There was a delighted look on his face. He started to recite incantations. He lifted his hands at the same time and pressed them against Tang Wutong's shoulders. Strange lights formed. As Tang Wutong was blocking him, Huro Yuao couldn't see Titan slowly shrinking behind Tang Wutong. A gentle light projection also appeared in front of Titan. There seemed to be a man with long blue hair seated cross-legged there. He lifted his hand and pressed one finger against the back of Tang Wutong's head. Suddenly, the light from the golden trident on Tang Wutong's forehead retracted. After this, the light that had scattered earlier immediately gathered together before shooting towards Huo Yuao's Eye of Destiny. Golden light shone as the Eye of Destiny was hit. Huo Yuao only felt his entire body shaking tremendously. He actually felt a strong suction force that was sucking his spiritual core out. The stable circulation of his spiritual soul core was disrupted, and its revolution became violently quick. This caused Huo Yuao's entire head to turn golden. Outside the castle, all the clouds within a 50-kilometer radius shone with the same glow. Huo Yuao tried to focus his gaze, but all he saw was that the golden light came from Tang Wutong's golden trident. This suction force was like a bridge between him and Tang Wutong. There wasn't any reluctance on his part. Huo Yuao did his best to use his spiritual power to push his spiritual core outward. It was important to know that his was a yin-yang complement soul core. Once it completely left his body, his ultimate ice soul core might actually blow apart. Huo Yuao had already thought this over properly. He believed that Titan also didn't know the characteristics of his yin-yang complement soul cores. This was why he judged the outcome in that manner. In fact, from the current situation, his ultimate ice soul core might immediately blow apart the moment his spiritual soul core left his body. When that happened, his entire body might actually explode. When he thought of this potential outcome, Huo Yuao also thought of a way to counteract it. Giving his spiritual soul core to Tang Wutong could save her. That was enough. He was also very self-confident. He was confident that he could control his ultimate ice soul core for at least a short period of time. If he was given time to recite incantations, that would be enough. If that happened, he would open his spectral door and enter his demiplane before shutting the door. He would then blow apart in his own demiplane. He might destroy the entire demiplane if he blew apart in there. Perhaps he might only destroy a part of it. He was fine with it as long as he didn't harm anyone. This was what he thought. It was very simple and direct. This was why he decisively chose to listen to Titan's suggestion. When he came to save Tang Wutong, he had already expected death. If only one of the two of them could survive, he naturally wished that it was Tang Wutong. Dim lights flashed in the air. The golden light that was shining from Huo Yuao's body became stronger and stronger. As his spiritual soul core shifted out, the chain between his two soul cores was also pulled longer and longer. The circulation speed of his ultimate ice soul core also got faster and faster. It seemed like it was going to turn violent soon. Huo Yuao perfectly demonstrated his control right now. He suppressed both his soul cores and contained their violent tendencies. His Eye of Destiny had turned into a golden whirlpool by now. Even the pupil was gone. Against the golden trident, the golden light that it let out also became more and more intense. Project. A gentle voice sounded. Huo Yuao could only tell that this voice didn't belong to Titan. It didn't seem to belong to Nui Tin either. After this, Huo Yuao felt a gentle beam of light striking his body. This beam of light felt warm, but there was an indescribable pressure that came with it. The pressure he was under earlier resurfaced. It was even stronger now than it was before. What was this? Huo Yuao was astonished. However, before he could even react, he felt his soul and spiritual power pouring out of his body. Following this, his spiritual soul core shook a little. Huo Yuao only felt a strong turning force, and a sense of weakness immediately swept over his spiritual sea. A golden whirlpool appeared 30 centimeters in front of him. Wasn't that his spiritual soul core? However, Huo Yuao was stunned that his spiritual soul core didn't disappear. It was still in his Eye of Destiny. It was just that its spiritual aura was weaker than what it was previously. It was at most only at 1/10 of what it was earlier. 1/10 of an ultimate Douluo's spiritual power was still close to the standard of a rank 90 title Douluo. However, the sense of weakness was still very overwhelming, as Huo Yuao lost 90% of his spiritual power so abruptly. It was a torturous feeling. At least this was what Huo Yuao was feeling right now. His ultimate ice soul core also became stronger. The center of the chain connecting both soul cores was where both soul cores collided with each other, generating whirlpool-like soul power. However, it was rapidly shifting upward, and only stabilized after entering Huo Yuao's spiritual sea. His two soul cores became a little unbalanced now. The whirlpool-like soul power that he generated contained the chill of ultimate ice, while his spiritual aura had evidently weakened. What was going on? Why was a part of his soul core able to be separated? 90-10 separation. Projection. Earlier, that voice mentioned something about projection. What's that? Is this the secret method of the Clear Sky Sect? It's magical. Although Huo Yuao was weak, he could still clearly see that the golden whirlpool was drifting in the air towards Tang Wutong, along the trajectory of the golden light released by the golden trident. It wasn't moving at an incredible speed, but it was very stable. It seemed to have completely detached itself from Huo Yuao's control. He couldn't even sense that part of his spiritual power. The circulation speed of his spiritual soul core also fell considerably. Just like Titan had mentioned, his spiritual soul core had become extremely weak right now. Focus. When Wutong absorbs your spiritual soul core, she'll interact with the soul power that you poured into her body. At the same time, she'll stimulate the resonance of your spiritual soul core. You must be careful. If you can't control your soul and spiritual power, you'll become an idiot. Do you understand? Titan's voice sounded once again. Yes, it was Titan's voice this time. Huo Yuao was certain. At this point, Huo Yuao naturally couldn't say anything. He quickly focused, and did his best to tolerate the intense weakness. He also tried his best to sense the changes to the soul and spiritual power in his body. The golden whirlpool slowly came in front of Tang Wutong until it reached her golden trident. After this, the whirlpool stopped there. Tang Wutong was illuminated golden. Huo Yuao could clearly sense that the soul power undulations in her body had become stronger. His soul power inside his body was also circulating according to these intense undulations, and was quickly being sucked by away Tang Wutong. If it was someone else, he might really think that Tang Wutong was sucking his power away to strengthen herself. At least, this method seemed like it was doing that. It was similar to an evil soul master's abilities. However, Huo Yuao didn't think so. He would have no regrets even if he gave everything to her. This was why he didn't resist at all. He relaxed completely, and let Tang Wutong absorb his soul power. Tang Wutong's passageways became brighter and brighter as they were strengthened by soul power. The aura of death in her body seemed to realize that the situation wasn't good, and started to struggle in her body. However, it couldn't cause any damage, as it faced Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong's combined soul power. The golden whirlpool in front of Tang Wutong's golden trident became smaller, or rather, it was slowly being absorbed into Tang Wutong's body through the golden trident. Huo Yuao immediately sensed that the soul core in Tang Wutong's dantian was surging. Immense soul power was shooting towards her head. He was very familiar with such a feeling. When he first cultivated his yin-yang complement soul cores, didn't he face something like this? He only escaped death with Elder Mu and his 6 spirits' help, and became the first human in history to form yin-yang complement soul cores. As he sensed the crisis Tang Wutong was in, Huo Yuao immediately reacted. His soul power that was entangled with her started to rapidly move. There was only one goal: slow down the circulation of Tang Wutong's soul power. After she was unconscious for so many days, Tang Wutong's soul power was in a resting phase. Due to this, her own functions were slightly slow. The volume of Huo Yuao's soul power was greater than hers. After absorbing so much soul power earlier, Tang Wutong's soul core circulated at a slower speed as Huo Yuao moved this time. It was even being delayed. A golden whirlpool was taking form in Tang Wutong's spiritual sea. She found it much easier to form her second soul core compared to Huo Yuao. This spiritual soul core was already ready. She just had to absorb it. Her first soul core in her dantian was restrained by Huo Yuao. In this way, Tang Wutong's cultivation speed would become much faster than Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao managed to do this as he used the fact that Tang Wutong's soul power didn't reject him. Of course, the more important thing was that it came from the Clear Sky Sect's secret method. Without this secret method, Tang Wutong wouldn't have been able to absorb Huo Yuao's soul core no matter what. It was the kind of ability that didn't exist in the world of soul masters. There was a relieved look on Huo Yuao's face. He was already seeing the likelihood of success. Golden light was still shining brightly on Tang Wutong's forehead. However, she was about to fully absorb his spiritual soul core. It didn't even feel like Huo Yuao was being forced to do this at all. Instead, he appeared very delighted. To be able to give something to Tang Wutong was the most blissful thing for him. Tang Wutong's soul core became more and more violent. Her soul power was also getting a little out of hand, such that Huo Yuao's soul power could no longer restrain it. Without any hesitation, Huo Yuao poured even more soul power into Tang Wutong's body and continued to restrain her soul core. At the same time, he also relaxed a little. He also assaulted Tang Wutong's spiritual soul core with some of his soul power. To complete the formation of yin-yang complement soul cores, it was impossible to avoid a clash, and the soul cores had to adapt to each other. No one was more experienced than Huo Yuao when it came to this. Of course, the beast god Tian was also experienced too. However, the difference was that Huo Yuao was human. Huo Yuao was the first human to form yin-yang complement soul cores. When it came to this, no one could compare to him. The smile on Huo Yuao's face widened. He also didn't know how much time had passed. He only felt himself getting weaker and weaker. Not only was 90% of his spiritual power drained, but even his soul power was also drained. However, he felt much more comfortable like this. His twin soul cores also became much more balanced. The only difference was that he could restore his soul power through his cultivation. However, in the spiritual power aspect, it felt as if someone had taken 90% of his origin strength. So much time had passed, but he didn't exhibit any signs of recovery. Huo Yuao didn't seem to mind this. What could this count for? As long as Tang Wutong could recover, he was content. Right now, he only hoped that he wouldn't become a moron after all of this was over. He believed that Tang Wutong wouldn't look down on him. In fact, he was even sure that she wouldn't leave him even if he became an idiot. This was why he wanted that guarantee from Nui Tian and Titan. If he really became an idiot, he didn't want to become Tang Wutong's burden. The golden light from the golden trident finally retracted. Tang Wutong seemed to have completely absorbed Huo Yuao's spiritual soul core. As their spiritual and soul powers clashed, small, unstable whirlpools also started to form. Although they weren't very stable, they appeared continuously. This also meant that the two soul cores were starting to adapt to each other. This was good. This was very good. Seeing that success was within reach, Huo Yuao was delighted. He was aware that this was a sign that the yin-yang complement twin soul cores were about to be completed. Tang Wutong's soul power was above rank 90 already. Once her twin soul cores formed, it was almost certain that she would become a transcendent Douluo. As for how much his cultivation would drop, Huo Yuao was also unsure. He had no time to think about it either. Lights flashed, and the soul power undulations in the air became stronger and stronger. Huo Yuao shut his eyes. He even shut his eye of destiny. A strong sense of weakness quickly engulfed him, causing him to turn pale. However, there was still a slight smile on his face. A figure slowly stood up behind Tang Wutong. This figure had a slender figure, and his blue hair flowed behind his head. There was no flaw in his handsome and charming face. He looked at Huo Yuao with a complex look in his eyes. After a brief moment, he gently sighed. He lifted his hand and pressed it against Tang Wutong's forehead. Suddenly, the golden trident shone. Something seemed to be injected into it, but it also seemed like something had disappeared. Two balls of light shone behind Tang Wutong. One was a golden sun, while the other was a purplish gold moon. Gold and purple intersected, which was a captivating sight to behold. The blue-haired man smiled in satisfaction and nodded gently. As he waved his hand, a gentle beam of light covered Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong's bodies. Tang Wutong's soul core shook. Following this, her soul power suddenly surged out. Huo Yuao's soul power, which he had used to restrain Tang Wutong's soul core earlier, was sucked in, as if it was being swept away by a tornado. The chain between Tang Wutong's two soul cores also fully formed. A beam of golden light suddenly shot out from Tang Wutong's golden trident. It struck Huo Yuao's brow. His eye of destiny opened on its own because of the stimulation of this external force. Following this, Huo Yuao felt that the remnants of his spiritual power had been completely drawn out from his spiritual sea. He was left completely void of spiritual power. The whirlpool around his soul core disappeared. What was left was only a golden object, which wasn't very huge. At this instant, Huo Yuao blacked out and lost all consciousness. Am I really going to become an idiot? This was the last thought in his head. If he had one more second to think, he would certainly have hoped that Nui Tian and Titan would fulfill their promise, bring his idiotic self away and vanish completely from Tang Wutong's life. It wasn't just his spiritual power that was completely drained. Even his soul power in his dantian was sucked away. Unprecedentedly bright light shone from Tang Wutong's body. This time, it was time for Tang Wutong to support Huo Yuao's body as he sat there, his head slowly drooping. It was at this moment that a figure silently shone from Huo Yuao's back. It was a man who had long, golden hair. Is this enough? The golden-haired man asked. The blue-haired man nodded gently and replied, seeing that he's willing to sacrifice himself for Wutong, I'll forget about his succession of your godly seat. However, he'll still need to work harder if he wants to marry my daughter. As he spoke, the blue-haired man pushed his hands forward. Suddenly, the sun moon radiance behind Tang Wutong's back shone brightly. The golden-haired man also mimicked the pressing action towards Huo Yuao's body. Behind Huo Yuao, a golden sun and a blue moon suddenly appeared. It was just that they shone less brightly than Tang Wutong's golden sun and purplish moon. The golden lights were like a bridge. Both golden suns illuminated each other, and their golden lights complemented each other. A gentle glow connected both suns. The golden sun behind Huo Yuao's back gradually became brighter as it was illuminated by the golden sun behind Tang Wutong. The strange thing was that immense spiritual undulations started to come from Huo Yuao's body. Not only this, but the blue moon behind his back also released a beam of light, which intersected with the purplish moon behind Tang Wutong's back. As the suns and moons intersected, their soul and spiritual power also started to interact. The two soul cores inside Huo Yuao's body started to circulate, and his whirlpool-like soul power spread. Streaks of black air started to spread from Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong's body. They diffused into the air before slowly disappearing. The golden-haired man snapped. Don't you think this is cheating? We can't intervene in anything below. The blue-haired man replied. Cheating? I'm not. I'm only guiding my aura on my daughter's body. She's my flesh, and my blood runs in her. Who can say anything about this? As for Huo Yuao, he's received feedback from my daughter's power because he saved her. That's why something like this has happened. It's not my doing. It's theirs. I'm only using the Clear Sky Sect secret method. The golden-haired man was unconvinced. Clearly, you were the one who created that secret method. Is that so? Whatever. All right, I'm going. Are you? Let's go. Tang-san, I suddenly feel like whacking you. I'm not sure why. Furthermore, why do I have this feeling that I'm not benefiting at all? Not benefiting? All right then, let's switch. You can leave with your godly seat. I'll deal with him and let him inherit my position. I believe he won't reject me with Wutong around. Dream on. I'm going. I can't be bothered with you. The blue-haired man took a step, and his body seemed to fuse with space. After this, he instantly vanished. The golden-haired man wore a complex expression on his face as he looked at Huo Yuao. He lifted his hand and gently pressed it on Huo Yuao's head. Then, he nodded his head in satisfaction. Trying to snatch my successor? Dream on. He also took a step forward before he disappeared into the air. Titan came out from some unknown place and chuckled. Is this considered a fight between immortals? Nui Tian pushed open the door and walked in. What? Even if immortals fight, they can only do it above, not here. Let's not say anything more and just follow their instructions. This time, both of them are finally reaping rewards. When Huo Yuao gradually regained consciousness, he first felt warmth. His entire body also felt very comfortable. Am I still alive? Or am I in another world? It seems like one can still feel warmth in another world. He slowly regained his awareness. Of course you're still alive. You've never been better. A slightly interesting voice sounded. Huo Yuao was stunned for a moment. After this, he felt a very familiar aura. He thought of something before taking a look in his spiritual sea. His spiritual sea was now a plot of land. Familiar figures started to appear in front of him. A handsome man was playing with his long, golden hair. At the same time, this man was smiling at him. He was wearing a long, white robe, which was completely clean. Brother Skydream, Huo Yuao said agitatedly. It wasn't just the Skydream iceworm in human form. There were also a few others around. For example, there was the star Anise mysterious ice grass. The star Anise mysterious ice grass also appeared in human form. It appeared as a simple and honest young man, and it was standing beside the Skydream iceworm. On the other side, two beauties were staring at Huo Yuao. Although they seemed aloof, they couldn't hide their delight. The chubby ice bear king was also smiling as he looked at Huo Yuao. He opened his arms as he rushed over, giving Huo Yuao a big bear hug. The captivating Princess Leia was also grinning as she watched Huo Yuao. Captivating tunes came from her mouth, as if hundreds of birds were singing. All of you are awake. Or am I meeting you in another world? Huo Yuao almost couldn't catch his breath as he was hugged by the Ice Bear King. His voice was very unclear, but every one of his spirits could tell what he was saying. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.